Here. Ms. Carone.
Here.
Ms. Cobb.
Here.
Mr. Conley.
Here.
Ms. Davila. Here. Ms. Doherty Trebbing is absent. Mr. Border.
Here.
Mr. Grishover.
Here.
Ms. Minor. Mr. Fleckner.
Here.
Ms. Pyle. Ms. Candelaria Diaz. And Mr. Trent. Mr. Trent, thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, so if you guys can review the agenda, please. I have to ask for some changes to it. I'd like to add Dr. Bellata. She's the new Director of Climate and Culture, and she's going to say a few words today. And I would also like to add a approval for a fundraiser for the Black Student Union. So those are my two additions. Does anyone have any others?
Student spotlight.
Student spotlights.
We should be back
She'll
soon.
be back
so,
soon.
Yeah.
Okay. So with those changes, I'd like to move that we approve today's agenda.
I make a motion. Okay, sorry.
Okay. Mr. Conley makes the motion and Ms. Davila seconds. Here we go. Ms. Barron is yes. Ms. Baloo? Yes. Ms. Besher? Yes. Ms. Carone?
Yes.
Ms. Cobb?
Yes.
Mr. Conley?
Yes.
Ms. Davila? Yes. Mr. Gorder?
Yes.
Mr. Grishover?
Yes.
Ms. Minor? Yes. Mr. Fleckner?
Yes.
Ms. Pyle? Yes. Ms. Candelaria Diaz? Yes. And Mr. Trent?
Yes.
All right, the motion carries. The agenda is updated.
Thank you. All right. The minutes, we had the wrong minutes in there.
The wrong minutes were posted in our February folder. However, there is a draft of the December meeting minutes now posted for review in that folder. We can push to approve those minutes at the March meeting. I would invite everyone to look them over. However, I transcribed those because I was absent from the meeting from our recorded live stream. And so all of the motions were, the people who seconded or presented the motions were not all captured. So I invite your feedback on those minutes in advance of the March meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing it.
Yes, thank you very much for doing this. All right, so before we have the departmental presentations, Dr. Bellata, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. So thank you for having me tonight. I had my first safety meeting at 3:15 today. I had to apologize. I spoke for the entire hour. And then she asked me actually to share, I shared the presentation with you, with the entire LSC. She agreed we probably should have recorded it. But if you'd like me to share a couple of those slides tonight, I will. I just didn't want to take any of your time. If you'd like me to do that at your next meeting, I'd be happy to come back. We can talk about what's happening in the building. It was my first month that I served. It's been quite a month, quite a journey. We did actually have a lot of celebrations that I put on there for you. I've lived in this neighborhood since I was 8 years old. This is my community. I take this very seriously that I'm servicing my community. It's so nice to see friendly faces in here. Anne took a chance on me and got me in the building. And then the rest is kind of, I guess, it's been history. But I owe Taft a great debt of gratitude. Taft saved my two adopted children's lives, and I'm pretty convinced of it. I can't talk about it without beginning a tear. They lost both of their parents. They lost their home and they lost their school all in one day. And it was the athletic programs here, the clubs here, and the AVID program that I owe to their success because they helped me. Coaches talked to me. They got him on a team. Dominic was brought on the basketball team mid-year when he was brought to the school. And the rest is history. Dominic is married to a Taft graduate as well, here at Taft. Rachel is a speech pathologist, went back to school now to get her leadership degree. This was years ago, and again, it's my turn to serve. So I'm here to serve our community. I take it very seriously. Again, we've made a lot of strides, a lot of gains. There's a lot of things happening. And I will, if you have time, I will show you a couple of slides. If not, like I said, please invite me back. I will be more than happy to present to you all and let you know what's going on and what we put in place.
Well, I really appreciate you coming, and I should have started by introducing myself. I'm Paul Connolly,
Hello,
so
Paul, nice to meet you.
it's nice to meet you. But as far as consuming any more of your time, the principal is most aware of that, so whatever,
I know,
I'll defer to you.
yeah, I'll just say a couple words, and then if you have any questions for Dr. Bellato, we can do that. We don't have to go through the whole presentation because it's been downloaded for everybody. Dr. Bellato is awesome. She is the exact person we needed at the exact time. When she first started here, when I interviewed her, I'm like, she's going to be something in this building. We all knew that. So when the position came open, she interviewed, and it was over in 5 minutes. And because I got like a thing on my desk where, like, when I'm interviewing someone and it's a done deal, I put it over there, and they all look at it. And I'm done. Ask all your questions you want, but this is what we need here. And so, but I'll give you a couple of examples. When she first started, I wrote a name on a piece of paper. I said, yeah, good luck with that one. Let me know how that turns out. And he was it was a tough kid with a tough background that even I couldn't get through to this kid. And I don't talk about that because it hurts me when I can't reach any of my kids. They can disagree with me, but when I can't get through a kid, I wake up in the middle of the night thinking about that. And I said, let me know how that turns out. Thought she'd come back in tears saying, she came back, she said, oh, I talked to him and we did it. I go, what? You talked to him? And so she is cracking these hearts, these concrete hearts of these kids and getting through to these kids. I went in there today, there was 3 girls. And I'm like, my first thing is, why are you not walking in the hallways right now? That's what you do here. And they're like, no, we needed a timeout. We're hanging out in her office right there. And she was talking with them, joking with them. So it's perfect what we need right now. You know, these kids that we've separated, the camouflage in the hallways, they're all running to their classes. And now what's evident in these kids that are walking in the classes that have serious problems at home and don't know how to cope with them. And she's the right one that's doing it. We're at a full staff right now. It's everything's clicking. And I just can't say enough about this lady right here. She is just, it's perfect. Kat had her stuff here. It was wonderful. Addison. And now it's like the next level is like the loving, touching heart, still firm. We ain't gonna bend on that, but she's touching kids' hearts. And like I always said, St. John Baptist de La Salle is the patron saint of teachers. If you don't touch their heart, nothing's going to happen. This was in 1780. So does anybody have any questions for Dr. Bellato? They're all here.
That entrance, I don't know.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Yeah. Anybody have any tough ones?
No.
And I promise I'm not going to be hugging them through my lunch suspensions or my in-school suspensions. We still have parameters and programs that have been ongoing for the last month. And they're working. We're showing evidence of decreases in tardies, decreases in hall walkers, decreases in students leaving the building, and we're not gonna stop.
Yeah.
We're gonna get ready for that spring. I like to mention when I see them that there's a new sheriff in town, and we're gonna stop all that nonsense.
All right.
Any other questions at all?
No.
Dr. Bellato, I know you had a late night last night too, so go home and get
That's
some
all
rest.
right. Pleasure. Thank
Dr.
you guys
Bellato
very
will-
much. I'll see you in the final round. Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Dr.
Bellato.
Bellato lives in the circle. She'll be home in about 45 seconds probably. So. Thank you, Dr.
you.
Bellato. We'll go right to
The fundraiser approval.
oh, sure.
Oh, no, it's, is our student here?
Not yet.
Okay.
Getting his flowers.
So the other thing I added to the agenda was this fundraiser approval for the Black Student Union that involved a kissing booth. If you'd like to describe further.
Ms. Cap said, say it again? What? They were selling kisses, not kissing. I did a double take today.
Wait, what?
No, just real briefly, if you want to just describe what it was.
Basically, we had like 3 different booths for Valentine's Day. It was a photo booth, so you get a Polaroid, and a kissing booth with chocolate kisses, not actual kissing. None of that was involved. And you get a crush for your crush, and each different flavor had its own meaning. Like watermelon was like I like you. Grape was like, why did you ghost me?
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was, can I add you on Snap, something like that. And yeah, so I'm proud to say that we raised $597.
That's
Wow,
great.
nice.
Princess, what was orange? These are the questions. What's orange? Yeah.
Yeah, it was orange.
Actually, I have the flavors on my phone.
Yeah. I didn't know they had flavors. I didn't know that.
Oh, oranges can we be friends?
Oh, nice.
All right, nice
Yeah,
safe
so
one.
it was a great success. A lot of people showed up, even people who didn't have so I can buy a fellow or something, so it went really well.
Nice.
Great,
Nice job.
good idea. Thanks for doing that. I'm gonna move that we approve this fundraiser.
I'll second.
All in, favor? Do the roll.
All right, let's do it. Mrs. Barron is a yes. Ms. Bolu,
Yes.
Ms. Batcher,
Yes.
Ms. Carone,
Of course.
Ms. Cobb.
Yep.
Ms.
Can I, wait, before, what are we doing with the money?
Great question.
It's, the money was raised for the Black Student Union. I
Okay.
don't know what the,
What are you thinking, Princess?
Yeah, what are you guys thinking?
We'll hoping to get like reimbursed because of all the stuff, like the money that we spent to get like the different party favors, because you know, we have different, props that you can put on, and also like the tablecloths, the happy Valentine's Day sign, so it's just to like give money back to the money that was spent on stuff.
What, real quick, did you have a goal, like what you wanted to raise? And if you did raise this, it was gonna go somewhere? Did you have that?
It's just to go to the club in general, so we can do
Okay.
like more events in the future.
Let me know, because you should not lose money on that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so talk to me if you have to add more. Good.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Ms. Cobb. Mr. Connolly,
yes.
Ms. Davila. Yes. Mr. Gorder,
Yes.
Mr. Grishaber.
Yes.
Ms. Minor. Yes. Mr. Fleckner.
Yes.
Ms. Pyle.
Yes.
Ms. Candelaria Diaz. Mr. Trent. All right, the motion carries.
All right. Next up then will be the departmental presentations.
All right, before we do, real quick, I'm not sure if Ms. Candelaria Diaz was is this your first meeting?
Second.
Second one. But Mr. Tran, this is your first meeting?
Yes.
So let's have a round of applause for him. And I will fully staff it. Welcome. Like I've already asked Ms. Minor and Ms. Pyle, where are you looking to go to college or universities? What's your first choice? What college? Any idea? Okay, we'll talk more on that. Okay. All right, let me get this up. Mr. Mihailoff, you're up first. Okay. Or let me see what slide comes. So whoever, it'll be 66. So, Annie, you're up.
Hi, I'm Annie Gore, and I am the chairperson for the Diversity Owners Department. And as much as I hate speaking in front of adults, I love my department, so I'm going to wine and dine with them. When I first came here 21 years ago, to now, I can't believe the difference in our department. The rigor in our department, unbelievable. Just the amount of options our kids have, and we'll go through all that with the slides, but I'm so proud of the kids we have coming out of our department. Just watch as they come in, a bunch of spaghetti all over the place. And then watching as they grow and they find where they belong. And they struggle, and they meet the expectations. So these, unfortunately, these are all the teachers. We actually have 54 teachers right now. This is us being our normal weird selves. We were doing a Grease kind of thing with the sunglasses. And this isn't anywhere near all of us. But we, like I said, we are up to 54 teachers. Strange thing about that is when I came here, we had half of that. Not even half. And through the work, and I have to say this, through the work of Mrs. Hess, we have gotten the staff that we need. And she has been diligent with going to CPS and saying, excuse me, but we have this many students in a class. Please give us more teachers. Please give us more parapros. And she has been, I can't even tell you how many hours this woman has put in to make sure that our kids' needs are met according to the IEP, according to their minutes. She has turned our department around. It is part of her soul, as it is with every teacher that's in our department. Because let me tell you, you can't be a diverse learner teacher if you don't have a heart, if you don't have the patience. You'll burn out.
Annie, I hate to do this. I'm
You
gonna call
wanna
a
get-
timeout on you. Omar, come on up here,
Yes.
okay? Omar has a date at 7. We're gonna get up here. Get up here. Let's go.
Please, my date's late. I've been here for 40 years.
Because I asked him yesterday, can you do it? And he's like, I'm like, why are you hesitant? I got a date that night, Mr. G. And I'm like, man, I never had a date in high school. I'm all for you. I'm gonna get you out of here. So come on up, Omar. So the reason I wanted Omar to talk is because he's one of our recipients of our illustrious Chick Evans scholarships, okay? This is huge, okay? Just so you know, it is a full ride scholarship, and you talk about where you're gonna go and real quick, and we'll ask you questions.
Well, the Evans Scholarship.
Evans Scholarship, yeah.
a full ride scholarship to like 26, 27 schools now. And the school I want to go to is Notre Dame. So I was fortunate enough to be accepted early action. So we're just going to talk with financial offices and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, it's a scholarship you receive for academics, caddy, and financial need and character. So minimum is 2 years. So I signed up pretty late. COVID kind of pushed everything back. But I got that minimum 2 summers in, and I just kind of cut everyone off during the summer. And I just spent as much as I could over at the golf course.
Which golf course?
Oak Park.
Okay, very good.
But yeah, I mean, it's a great opportunity. It's not talked about often, so there's definitely like room for us to kind of branch out and tell more kids about it earlier on, because they won't have to kind of grind and kind of put everything else on the side like I had to. But yeah, just kind of getting that word out to parents would be great. And program gets bigger every year, so there's more scholarships offered. G told me that we have a Taft alumni helping out, so they're looking at students going into the school, so kids have the opportunity to get a scholarship.
Excellent. So you're going to go to Notre Dame. What are you going to major in, Omar?
Aerospace engineering.
Something easy.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Favorite round of applause. So take the jewel, wrap her off the flowers. Okay. Then you give it to her. All right, Omar. Thank you so much. But we'll talk tomorrow.
Congratulations.
Okay?
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's huge. Evans Scholarship is huge. I think that's our 3rd one this year. There's a lunch every spring that Mr. Glowitz and I attend. Mr. Glowitz is actually a recipient of the Evans Scholarship also. Yes, he is. And the IB diploma. Yes, he check all those boxes. But when you go there, we have probably 10 or 15 Taft alumni that are there. And I'm talking like from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Okay. In fact, there's a guy here, at alumni named Marty Paluga, that gives an extra scholarship to all our kids. Every kid that's an Evans Scholar for all 4 years, he gives them $500 for expenses and stuff they don't really calculate and stuff like that. Marty Paluga is also going to be donating right around the corner here. He's going to buy us a putting green, artificial turf putting green with about 10 different holes on it for our golf court, for our golf kids, so they don't have to leave the campus. There's only 2 sports here they have to leave the campus to practice: bowling and golf. So golf will be taken care of. Later on, we'll talk about the basement, my 2-lane bowling alley. We'll talk about that a little bit. So anyway, Annie, thank you for your interruption. You're up.
Could you switch to
You
the
got
next one? Oh, and we have 26 paraprofessionals also to support our students. And we have 2 types of paraprofessionals. One is for in class, so they take care of everyone in the class. That's when our numbers are getting to the point where they are still acceptable, but where you need that extra support. The other is a student and paraprofessional, where they have students' individuals' needs warrant having somebody with them for that class. And it's not always in every class. It's depending upon, again, the IEP. These are beliefs that our staff has, and they kind of hit me at home. With the correct support structures and quite often non-traditional routes, our students can learn beyond their expectations. Many of our kids come in broken. They've been told somewhere along the line that they can't. And I don't know why people do this, but sometimes it happens. Our job is to make them know that they can, and beyond what they think. It's not just they can, it's past that. And through the right tools, and the smiles, and the patience, they get there. Also, this one is something that's like one of my personal ones, and it's remember that each student is someone's child. Give them the respect that you hope people give your children. All right, programming. When we look at a lot of the other departments, they have different classes that they've got. Well, with ours, we're in all those classes. So there are only a couple classes, or one class that actually belongs to us. I'll talk about that in a little while. But in the week, when I first came here, we were predominantly instructional classes, which we call small classes, okay? And then we went a little bit more to co-taught classes. I'm looking at us now. We have so many more, where the instructional classes used to be up in the hundreds, they're now down to 67. Because we're finding the kids can work in a co-taught class very well. So now we're up to 207 co-taught classes. But within the last couple of years, we've hit the honors level. And we have 61, okay? Most of them core, 61 classes. And what I'm very proud of is we've now hit the AP. And we've got 5 of those, and we're continuing to look, and this is where Mr. Flores comes in, one of our APs, where he comes in and actually looks at their grades and looks at what's going on with them and talks with the case managers. And after meetings, we sit down and say, is the child ready? Are we ready to bring them up to the next level? Okay, a lot of that also happens in your IEP meetings to see where they fit. But where we used to just put everybody in because we thought that was the best placement for them, that's no longer the case. We are at every level. I'm very proud of that. All right, when we look, we have these charts where we see where they are on track, freshman and sophomore year. And when we're looking at them, our ninth graders are 0.7% above where they were last year, and 0.6% above the 10th graders are. Okay, you may look at that and say, wait, what is that? You don't understand the magnitude of that. A lot of our kids struggle. We have to understand they have a struggle. It's not that they just have an IEP and they don't. So to get them to have a growth is what we want. I don't care if it's a small growth, I don't care if, it's a growth, and that's what we're looking toward. And we've had that growth in the last couple of years. We are strengthening the rigor. We are pushing our kids. And that's just what I wanted the chart to kind of show. Next. All right, this is the one class that is just our baby. Okay, and it's called occupational op prep, we call it. Now, we years ago started something called SOAR, the freshman level. And that was for the kids that didn't have organizational skills. They were kind of, like I talked about the spaghetti all over the place, and they need to be refined. Now, then we thought, wait a minute. We then threw in at the senior level a similar thing, but toward careers. The kids that weren't going to go to college, possibly, they said, no, I don't really want to go that route, but that we wanted to get into careers. And that struggled to even have eye contact, or to write a resume, or to interview. Then we thought, wait a minute, we can't in between here. So we now have it at all levels. SOAR's at the TFA. And now for our career program, we have the sophomore year with Ms. Bracken, where she is the instructor. They have 10 kids in there right now. Now these kids are handpicked. They're the kids that struggle with even looking at you. Awkwardness in trying to speak to someone. So we're not taking the kids that can go out and get their own jobs. Taking the kids that need the support. So she has 10 right now, and that is a 1-credit course. Then at junior level and senior level, we have Miss Mary, who is the one that originally had the seniors, but then we brought it all the way through. And she has 18 of them, again, a 1-credit course for the year, where they only have the classroom. But in senior year, they go out and get employed. All but one of her kids is employed. Okay? And that one, there's a reason why, that child and the parents really just said, we can't. Okay, so it was an agreed upon kind of thing. All right, and that's it for my department. Does anybody have questions about our department? Yes.
Thank you so much for this presentation, and I can tell how much you care about these kids.
Oh my God, I love my babies.
I'm curious about your
Mine
workforce
is-
development curriculum. Is part of that currently or in the future considering helping these young adults with things like ServSafe certification so that they can get a job more easily in a
We have like
restaurant?
OSHA certification, they
Yeah,
have now.
OSHA or
Yes.
ServSafe, things like that.
Miss
That's
Mary is
wonderful.
looking into the other things. We're working with Bridges
Yeah, that's
and
fantastic.
trying to get them with certifications on that end. But right now, I know definitely there's the OSHA,
Okay,
and she's constantly looking to see where else we can pull them in and get more certification. So
thank you
yes,
so much.
absolutely.
Is it all right if I reach out to you?
Absolutely.
About that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Real quick, before we bring Mr. Mihailoff up, just a couple of things. We have about 1,100 kids in both the EL department and the DL department, which is larger than most high schools in CPS, and that's just our thing. So when people are always, and I'm always a little prickly when it comes to our brand, and we're higher rankings. Yeah, but we have 25% of our kids that are EL or DL. A lot of the select enrollment schools don't have that. So that's one of the reasons I'm here at Taft, because I want to be able to service all those kids. A couple of things we've changed over the last 8 years that you need to know. Our DL students are the first ones programmed, and the last ones changed, okay? Where it might be an inconvenience for some kids when they get their schedule changed. It's like life altering sometimes when a kid gets his class changed and he's really made a bonding relationship with a teacher. We've installed something called IEP days, individual education plans, where we give every DL teacher a couple of days off each semester. They still have to come in, but they can focus and talk to people on the IEPs. I think we're the only high school that does that actually gives them time. Let's see, real quick. A couple of years ago, and I'm gonna keep bragging on that grading policy, but before we changed the grading policy, our overall freshman on track was about 86%. DL was down to like 74%, okay? EL was like 71%. There was a disparity. Ever since we changed the grading scale, at the end of the first semester, our freshman on track is 97%. To put that in perspective, that's 100 students that have names and pictures and families that are now on track. But more importantly, all of our marginalized kids like DL, EL, any minority is within 1 percentage point of 97%. So that's why I'm really, really tight on that grading policy, okay? Because that was one of the changes, because it's fairer now for the kids. They're in the game instead of walking the hallways saying, Mr. G, if I get an A on everything else in that class, I couldn't pass this class. So now it's a fairer grading scale, okay? So, Mr.
And quite frankly,
Yeah.
how can you have 10, 10, 10, 90 to 100 is 10, 80 to 100 to 90 is 10, and then all of a sudden you have a 60.
Right.
So if a kid gets stuck in that hole, how the heck do they get out of there?
Right.
And the other thing I will pride myself on is we have the largest department in Chicago, or in Taft, and we have the largest DL department in the city.
Right.
And if I had to guess, we're probably mistaken, because Chicago is the hub of the Illinois. So I'm very proud of Taft, part of our department.
And I should have said, I knew Annie was somehow gonna weave in spaghetti or Italian meals somewhere in her talk.
I didn't bring any meatballs.
I know.
I'm sorry.
She's been bragging about these stuffed peppers for years, and I'm like,
The
until I
kids
taste
eat all the
it.
time. What do you want?
Okay, we're gonna go to Mr. Mihailoff. Mr. Mihailoff is over our English language learner department. And it kind of took a jolt this year. We hired Mr. Mihailoff a couple years ago, and he came in my office and he had like a 12-point plan. And I was like, go. And it was really impressive on what he did. He's really taken the department to the next level, especially this year, especially in the summertime when we were, a lot of kids came here. You know, that bus that came up from Texas that the mayor put in Burr Ridge, that then put in O'Hare, that they all wound up at our school. A lot of them wound up at our school. So, and that's fine. We take all the kids we can. A lot of them were from Venezuela and Mexico, but we also have a whole heck lot of Ukrainian refugees here too. And I think it was 50 or 60. We were able to hire a Ukrainian parent that was here a couple of years ago. He's kind of like the interpreter of them. So his department has taken some shots this year, but he's rolled with the punches. So Mr. Mihailoff, you're up, sir.
Mr. G, you made me a clinical coordinator 5 years ago.
5 years ago, my God,
2
yeah.
years ago. I've been here at Taft for 20 years. And 5 years, this is my 5th year as a bilingual coordinator. And I am a department chair for the department. So right now what is happening is that our bilingual program is becoming one of the biggest with Chicago Public Schools. 5 years ago, we used to have 250 EL students. Right now, we have 690. So you can see huge increase of the program. We have more ELs than Matters and all the neighboring schools. So the reason for that, especially for the Ukrainian coming here, is that the 2 Ukrainian churches are in our area. So people settle there around the churches and their kids are in our area. So right now we have 95 Ukrainian students. And just look at the slide of this 619, 141 are ELDL. So at the same time, there are EL students and from Ms. Gore's department. How long it takes for a student to get out of this program? The average is around maybe 5 years. But There are students who can get out of the program within 3 years, and there are students can stay here till they graduate. So it really depends on what kind of student and their ability to acquire the new language. How we identify who is an EL learner? Once the parents enroll the student, there is a legal document that they have to fill in, which is called a home language survey. And if they click that there is another language spoken in the house, or the student speaks another language, we by law are supposed to test, which is called screener test, that student, and if the student scores below 5 out of 6, that student is identified as an EL. To get out of the bilingual program before the 3 years period, the student needs to score 4.8 out of 6 on an annual test, which I've been administering during the last month. And the student, with the permission of the parent, leaves the program. Right now, if you look at this slide, we have 2 kinds of bilingual programs. The one is called Transitional Bilingual Education, TB, and the other one is called TPI, Transitional Program of Instruction. The first column, TB, is defined as once we have 20 or more students speaking the same language. And the second one, well, we have all kinds of languages. So for the first column, we are supposed to provide, if it's possible, education in their native language. Well, we are trying our best. Can you show us the next slide? All right. So you can see the transitional bilingual educational programs. So we have 5 programs right now, including Arabic, that we have 73 students. The biggest one is Spanish with 280. Ukrainian is becoming now the second one with 95. We also have Polish and Tagalog. So we have 5 mandated TBs. And then the next slide. TPIs, all these are the languages that are spoken from our students. See, we have like over 20 languages. I'm not going to read it. Okay. What is the support that we are providing for our ELs? Once the Taft Freshman Academy was open, we decided that students with the access score 3.5 and higher, we're gonna keep them there. So that means that those students are quite good with the language, but they're still developing, so they're kind of struggling with the academic language, but it's better for them to stay with the general population there. And we are trying our best to place them in front of ESL certified teachers, at least 2 of the core subjects. With the varsity campus, right now we have 463 ELs of the day. These are grades 9 and 12. Those students who are freshmen, but they score below 3.5. Also, this is the individual component that is taken in consideration. They are here. We have maybe around 80 freshmen right now. Those kids do not speak English at all. If I have to put it in percent, about 3% of Taft population do not speak English at all. And the total percent of ELs at our school is 15%, which is kind of average for the city. We are doing our best to provide all possible services, like by law and CPS instructions. We are supposed to provide all the letters that we're sending to the parents in their home language, all the services that we have. I just wanted the previous slide, Mr. G, to show them the classes that we have. Look at how many classes we have. 41 at the bottom. ESL designated classes. 12 classes are only ESL, that means that English is taught to them. And then 27 ESL content classes. That means that we have ESL classes only for these students in algebra, in geometry, in advanced algebra, in world studies, in all core subjects. You can see them over there. So imagine that the kid comes without English, so we place them in biology, but this is with the same kids with the same background. So support is provided wherever possible. If we have, because we have total at Taft 55 ESL or bilingual certified teachers. So imagine that the kid is coming from Venezuela and the kid doesn't speak English, but we are providing support, for example, in algebra because the teacher is explaining in Spanish wherever it's possible because there are other students in the class. So all of our kids, and I'm very proud of that, are serviced. We don't have anybody who is not serviced in this building. So but with this huge population, there are all kinds of issues, all kinds of problems, especially the students coming from Latin America, Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador. Some of them are without schooling. We have kids that dropped school after grade third, after the third grade. Can you imagine here, we are enrolling them in 9, but they don't know how to write neither in Spanish, neither in English. So our teachers are really struggling with this. We are doing our best to provide support. But right now, we have a lot of issues with students coming from Ukraine because they're coming from war zone. We are doing our best to provide whatever support we can. Mr. G organized this wonderful initiative called Respect that parents and staff provided gift cards to our refugees, and we gave gift cards randomly. We really didn't know how much money to the gift cards. We just put them in the envelopes and with the student's name, and they were so happy. Believe me, everybody got a card. We are doing our best to provide support. Issues everywhere with some of the kids, they come to my office, they start crying because it turns out that I'm asking for transcript, for example, to grade 9 from Ukraine, but the student is telling me, oh, you know, my school is ruined, our house burned, stories like this. So we have to be very compassionate to the students. And each case is on an individual basis. So I'm on a position that's paid by the board, and I feel obliged here to support the interest of our kids. So sometimes it happens, some of the colleagues don't know that they require a form to be filled or whatever. This form should be in the home language. You cannot ask the parent to fill in the form in English if they don't speak the language. So that's my job, and I'm talking to them. Luckily, I speak Russian and a bit Ukrainian, so I'm very helpful. But Mr. Ju was so nice to hire teacher from Ukraine, but her kids graduated from Taft High School 2 years ago, and she's providing support because I'm sending her to the most vulnerable classes, where there are like, imagine 20 students from Ukrainian origin, and they don't speak English, and somebody needs to speak in their own language. So I hope that they're gonna keep her for next year because this influx is continuing. Just to share with you, yesterday I enrolled a new student from Ukraine. Yesterday, 2 new students, one from Ukraine, one from Ecuador. Almost every week, at least 3, 4, 5 students are coming, and this is gonna continue. Mr. Flores asked me, what do you think, how many we can expect? I told him, total expect by the end of the school year around 30. And all our EL classes are overcrowded right now. And I'm telling my colleagues, the teachers, guys, you have to survive. We opened additional classes at the beginning, but there are only 3 months left. We need to survive. Some of the classes, for example, ESL algebra right now, 37. another class 33. But what can be done at this point? They continue coming. We never expected this to happen. Who can expect what's gonna happen during the war? All right. Now that's my presentation. If you don't have any questions. Or I'm open to questions.
Mr. Grisham, do you see any opportunity to hire more ESL teachers next year?
I do.
To
I do.
handle this, because they're not going away next year.
No, I do. And in fact, I was gonna tell Mr. Mihailov the 37 and the 33, this is the first time I'm hearing about it. Let's meet tomorrow and talk to Mr. Flores and see what we can do about that, okay?
I have
Yeah.
a question real quick.
Go
How's
ahead.
CPS been with you, response-wise?
They're good, they're actually,
They realize what's going on?
They do.
Are they being helpful? I mean, you know.
they are, and they're actually, believe it or not, Dean, they're actually sending resources before I can even make the phone
Really?
call. Yeah.
That's all
And
it is.
honestly, I really, and this is just me, I don't know, I'm just a principal. But
Right.
it's like that whole political thing with the mayor and the bus, that really got everybody riled up to where it's like, take care of these kids.
That's great. As long as CPS realizes
I'm
they're
fine
able
with
to
that.
supply and, you know,
Yeah.
help out.
They were very nice to us. They
Yes.
gave us $200,000 for
Oh, that's good.
open 5
Yeah.
0 food positions, and one we hired
Yeah.
one ESL teacher. And believe me, we are very lucky because Matters is in the same situation, but they gave them only $30,000.
Good,
So
okay.
we are very lucky. Mr. G managed to persuade,
Right.
all the boss,
can do it,
Mr. Matias,
Oh, I know.
and he gave us the money, so.
That's
Yeah.
great. That was my concern. I
Yeah.
know CPS runs sometimes.
And you know what, when we found out about the refugees, they had moved them to the O'Hare Hilton over there. And they
Right.
had said, Mr. G, I need you at the O'Hare Hilton tomorrow with a Spanish speaking,
Interpreter,
yeah, so we
right.
went there with Bianca, and it was weird. We went up to the elevator, and it was like military everywhere, and everybody had their rooms, and a lot of food. It was good. I mean, it was, but people, they were like shell shocked. It was like, just imagine being plucked out of your home. Now you're in an airport hotel,
Yeah.
and the love that they were getting and stuff, it was really nice. And I'm gonna brag a little bit, but I mean, this is why Taft is great. I mean, I was at St. Pat's and I loved it. I was at Whitney Young and I loved it. But this is one of the things that's why I wanted to bring the department people here. You can see the enormity of the things we do here and some of these unsung heroes that are here. This is what it's all about. If you're not proud to be a Taft person right now when you hear stuff like that, something's wrong with you, because we're doing real public education. Okay, I'm not skimming the top of the top. We take anybody who shows up at the door. And he's right. Every time I'm like, who are they? What are you coming here now? And we talk to them. The fun thing though is that a lot of our kids are in the office and they're speaking Polish and they're speaking Spanish. And I got Miss Graca and I got Miss Diaz, and I'm like, what'd they say? No, they said they're not going to class. Oh, really? You know, so I got my little spies over there. So, but they're all brought in here love. Couple of facts, we do have, when a language is spoken mostly at home, it's called a home language. We have 55 different home languages here at Taft. So when they say we're not diversified, no, we're diversified. The initiative that Mr. Mihailov, I kind of came up with it and he kind of spearheaded. We over $3,000 we raised for these families, and a lot of people were giving money to that. I put it out to Student Voice. Ms. Miner, I don't know if we have DL on. If I know you, you're probably 3 steps ahead of me. Some DL kids, some EL kids, some kids from Ukraine. We can get an interpreter there. Let's put them on the Student Voice if we can. It's just a little thing right there. So let's see, and that's it. Great. Thank you, guys. Can we have a round of applause? I want to get them home. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
For the EL students, besides the classes of just like the things that all of our students in America are learning, what else are you doing for after high school?
After we organize, we have 2 clubs. One is Ukrainian club, the other one is a Polish club, and we also have Muslim club and Filipino club. So we are trying to pull them and organize them as much as we can. Believe me, those kids coming from the war zone, it's kind of hard to include them in any activities. I don't know what the reason for that. We are discussing this, but it's kind of problematic.
And then what are you guys doing to help, like, obviously you're helping to get them to like the graduation requirements that the state has in America, but are you doing anything to help them figure out college, figure out working? I mean, some of them are still at a point where their English is still weak. You know, gonna be hard to get a job or to go to college or to, et cetera. Do you guys help them as juniors and seniors with those decisions and what to do
Good
next?
question. We have 11 graders with no English.
Yeah.
So it's not possible they to go to any college right now. But I hope, and that's what we are advising them, to go to Wright College because it's gonna be for free. And Wright College is offering, actually they're giving them the placement test and right away they putting them in an ESL level. So 1 year at Wright College and they can continue. Yeah. And also we have a Polish speaking counselor and Arabic speaking, so they're coming and explaining to our kids. But the best advice I'm trying to give to our kids is to go to the community colleges. This is the cheapest option, especially for those that don't speak the language.
That was one of our pushes the last couple of years when we hired more counselors. We wanted one that could speak Arabic and one that could speak in Polish, yeah. So that was a big push for us. But I understand what you're saying. I mean, we can only do so much. I'm hoping that the local churches are gonna pick up some of that slack and help them out too. Okay, anything else? Thank you. Go home, get some sleep, please. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
All right, moving on to reports. Principals report?
Yeah, we got a lot going here, so I'm gonna make it quick. First of all, hats are on there. They came 2 days after the December meeting, so please feel free to get a hat. If you need an extra one, let me know. I know some people have some kids at home, they want to get an extra one too. Okay, going right down, we filled out the 23-24 enrollment. We're looking at about 4,250. That's gonna be our number going forward, probably. We've leveled off now. It's been, my 9th year here, and it's always gone up, but now we've leveled off, which is good. We have baseline year right now that we can go with our numbers right now. And we know that that's gonna stay the same because we know what our 8th, 7th, 6th grade numbers are, and they leveled off. Even though our elementary schools are overcrowded in a lot of areas, it's not gonna have that much impact because they've already been overcrowded for many years. We held 3 programming information classes for the classes of 24, 25, 26 in the academic center. That was after school. I don't know if any of the parents attended them, but it was after school, I think 6 o'clock at night, and led by Mr. Flores. Ms. Greenblatt was on there talking about that. Counselors push-ins, it should be push-ins, not pushiness, as well as lunch and after-school workshops. So, if I don't do a principal with some mistake, it's just not a regular meeting here. So, next one, we had day-to-day with the math department where we kind of share our numbers with our kids and they talk. It's a good thing. Report cards were distributed. And for the first time, I have less than 5% mail to our families. Because I said, you know what, the kids get the report cards. And if I'm I was actually in high school like that. Here, bring your report card home. And I'm like, 3 Fs? Yeah, that won't be going home with me. And so what we've done is the kids with multiple Fs, we've mailed them home to the bottom 5% of each class. We've mailed those home. Okay. What's amazing is some of them are coming back like we don't live there. What's going on? So I'm calling them and finding out. And for the most part, it's kind of like we moved and we never let you know. And I'm like, well, it's important because you need to be getting this stuff. And they're like, he's got what? How many apps? What? And so I'm kind of snitching on it, but it's a good snitch because then the parents are going to get on a little bit. Freshmen on track, 97.9%. That's unbelievable. I'm telling you right now. That's Lane and Northside numbers, okay? Lane and Northside doesn't have 25% of their kids that are DL and EL. We do, and we're still maintaining 97.9%. AP Computer Science, we won an award for Female Diversity Award for expanding young women's access to AP Computer Science classes. We're one of the schools in Illinois that had more women taking computer classes than the amount of kids, like as a percentage of the girls that go here. So it was kind of a big award. We didn't go for that, but we knew that would be the ancillary benefit. Our ILTs attended a CPS ILT Institute, and we had vertical curriculum teams continued monthly meetings. Not to be condescending towards everybody, but when teachers meet and they're all teaching like freshman biology, that's called horizontal planning, okay? We're like, okay, what are we gonna go? What are we gonna do? When we have like English 1 talking to English 2, talking to English 3, talking to English 4, that's called vertical. Where do you want these kids to be when I hand them off to you? That's called vertical. It's one of the first things you do when you take over a school is to get teachers talking. We have experts here. get them talking to each other, give them time to talk. And so that's what the vertical meeting is. A couple of sports things, and if we're gonna double it, we'll double it. But cheerleading team won the city championship. That was huge. Boys basketball won their conference championship, had a big one over Loyola. That was big. Girls basketball made the CPL, Chicago Public Final Four. Second time we've ever done it. I think the first time, Sharina might have been the coach back then, and so it was before I got here, but I remember seeing the banner, so that was huge for us. They just lost their heartbreaker last night it was one of the main schools, last second buzzer. It was. Dean was there, and they didn't start the clock on time, and yeah, we get all. But they had a great season. What else we got? We won the Shakespeare Slam over many schools, including New Trier and Kenwood. What's up with that? Yeah. Hosted numerous parent-teacher conferences for MTSS and level 2 and level 3. That's usually, I've had probably 40 of them in my office where we sit down and we're like, well, he's 17 and he's got 2 credits. And what are we going to do here? And then they're like, what? I thought he's a senior. He's going to graduate. No, you need these things called credits, you know? And so we help them. And what's amazing is right now we probably have 20 or 30 kids over at Ombudsman. And that's what it is. It's an alternative school because kids sometimes have too much, what am I looking for? Like,
Stimulation.
yeah, stimulation. So they're going to walk the hallways. They're going to be with their friends. So it's better. Ombudsman is like 3.5 hours every day. You sit down and get your credits up. I walked in there a couple Thursdays ago and it's like, Mr. G, it was like Taft North over there. I'm like, are you guys getting your credits up? Yes, I'm going to get them up this year. And you told me if I get them up, we can walk the stage, go to prom. I'm like, yes, I'll keep that promise. So it's good for them that they're doing that. And so it really is a good opportunity. There's a guy there named David Leon, who is like a guardian angel on this earth. He really is. He takes these kids and he works with them and works with the families. So I feel good about that. Let's see, we had a freshman winter pep rally at the Freshman Academy. I was there. Miss Hess and Miss Covarrubias got slimed, which means that the kids hit a half-court shot and they got this bucket of slime over them. So, normally I would do that, but I like to, help my APs learn their leadership. So, plus slimes is better in hair than not hair. So it worked out good. I met with Alderman Napolitano and CAPS to discuss vaping issues in Chicago. They both understand that that's a major problem because I had told them, I said, when I first started here and Ms. Cobb was here, and I remember it was going like, what are you going to do about the cigarettes in the bathroom? And it was like the big problem. You walk in, there's like everywhere. So it went away for a while, but now as we know, it's sometimes back. The kids are in there vaping. So I had told him one of the ways that we had stopped the smoking is I had a meeting with the kids. I said, can you all please stop smoking in the bathrooms, please stop. Okay, there's no more uniforms. We're letting you. And so the kids, it was a good thing. The kids really listened most of the time. You're still going to have knuckleheads doing it. But I said, but what really did it was we had the police officers writing them $100 tickets for being underage smokers. And I said, what's the law when a kid is vaping underage? They don't know. I went to the CAPS meeting about a week ago over by Resurrection over here with Chicago police officers. What's the penalty? They don't know. And I'm like, well, if there's no penalty, what are we doing here? There's got to be something. I'm not saying like hurt the kids. So Alderman Napolitano said he's going to look into maybe marrying vaping into that cigarette ordinance and say it's still smoking. Because I really think if a kid gets a $100 ticket, am I right? Is that going to get around and people are not going to? Okay, we get it. Yeah. So again, I'm in the business of keeping stuff out of here. And so we attended. This is a good one. Miss Greenblatt, our assistant principal, has a daughter and a son that go to Edgebrook, and they had some swastikas over there. So she was one of the organizers there that organized a walk against hate. And so I was there and some other people. It was about 300 people. It was really good. So I like the fact that our assistant principal started it. And then we have someone named Princess Pio was elected as a CPS Civil Rights School Scholar. Princess, can you tell us what that is? Because I know it's a big deal.
Well, are you talking about the one with like the CPS student Office of School Protection?
I'm sure I am.
Okay, so basically, well, I did it last year, and like we had to create a project that was to be implemented in our schools like the following year. I mean, I didn't actually end up doing it because like there wasn't enough funding through the project, through the program. But this year I am a peer mentor, and Natalia is actually a scholar this year. She's gonna be implementing something hopefully like she tells y'all soon. So yeah, that's basically the gist of it.
Okay, nice. We're so proud of you. And where are you going to college? I know you told me before.
Well, you know, that's a little shaky now. 'Cause
Okay.
College that I got at 72 with Posse, they had like 20K for moving board, and I can't afford that. So I
Okay,
had
so
to-
it's still open right now, yeah.
Oh, well, it's not open, I can't go there anymore, but we're still waiting to hear back from other colleges that I applied to.
Okay, it happens. I got turned down at the University of Colorado, so I went to the University of Alaska, and it was better, so you never know where you're gonna go.
Yeah, you never.
All right, here we go. We're fully staffed with conflict resolution specialists. Remember, it was like the perfect storm at the beginning of the year. I lost 3 conflict resolution specialists. We were down like 8 security guards. I lost my conflict climate and culture person. Kids were now starting to act out, and so now we're fully staffed. And before, I used to, in November, I'd walk the hallways and not see a security guard. Now I can almost see, if I'm standing in a corner, I can see 2 of them at one time. So it really is a big deal. We are becoming a pain in the butt to kids walking the hallways, okay? And they know it, and they are getting to class, so it's kind of working. I hired a young lady, her name is Kiana Wiley. She is gonna be, it's called a TAT, when a teacher's gone, a temporary assigned teacher. They actually have something called a TAAP, a temporary assigned assistant principal. So when Ms. Hess goes out for her baby boy in about a month, we will have her, and I think she's gonna come back maybe in June, and then Mr. Glowitz is having his baby again, so he'll be out until July. And so, is that like nobody knew about that one, but it is? All right, now we do. Sorry, Bri, I didn't know we were seeing it. So she's gonna be really good. She's gonna be over at the Freshman Academy. I'm trying to get her 2 weeks early before Ms. Hess goes out, so she can kind of mirror and walk around. Never been an assistant principal, but she's gonna be a rising star, and I hope to help her out. We hired Dr. Bellato, who you just met, who is wonderful. Wednesday is parent-teacher conferences. I put that on there especially because I believe what we're gonna do is still go with what the teachers had suggested. And when we took a poll, it was like 55% want it from like 8 o'clock until 3 in the daytime. I like that because it is, I don't know how they got the first one right, but the second one's on a Wednesday again, and it kind of kills teachers when you're doing that 12 o'clock to 8, and then you got to come back the next day. It's a long, long day. And teachers are burnt out, so a lot of them call in sick, and it's just a mess. I get all that. But now I think it worked out last time that everybody that wanted a conference was able to get a conference from 9 o'clock on. And then Arbor Day, this is a thing, we got 38 trees that are being donated. And we've got spots around the campus. Like I keep telling you, every day I want this place to look like a bowl of Fruit Loops in the fall. They're gonna be like maple trees. It's gonna be real nice. Couple things I may be going over here. Bowling, we had Michaela Herrera. She took 5th, and Allison Munt took 1st. I know they were gonna do sectionals, but I got nothing on them. Do we know how they did?
I don't know.
Okay, we'll find out. I did ask her. Tomorrow, if you're not doing anything in your board, stop by Bettler at 4 o'clock. Your principal will be humiliating the boys bowling team and the girls bowling team. I've got our team that they've challenged us. And so we have our admin team and some teachers that the lady teachers are gonna take on the girls team, myself and some other guy teachers, Mr. Glow and Mr. Kessler and Mr. Pagan are gonna take on the boys. So it'll be fun. If you're not doing anything, stop by Bettler at 4, it'll be fun. And then I think that is it. Let me see what I had over here. Oh, chess did really well downstate last weekend. They finished like 38th out of like 130 teams, which is wonderful. You play 7 rounds. You play 4 rounds on Friday and 3 rounds on Saturday. If you can win 4 games, you're really in the top echelons, and they did win 4 games. The last thing I have is about the play. Not sure if I can say it, or do you want to do the big shebang, Jonathan?
I'm not sure that's what you're about to say.
The spring play?
9 to 5?
So I can't mention it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
We have the rights, we're good.
Okay, good, because there's a time when you can't mention it, so.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be 9 to 5. When is it, Jonathan?
It's April 20th through the 23rd.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big deal, and because we've got the music department, it's a big deal, and the kids are rehearsing in the hallway. There must be like yelling scenes in the play, because they're always yelling behind my office, right? Is that what they're doing?
It gets loud.
Okay, because I'm like, what's going on out here? Like, oh, we're rehearsing. I'm like, what kind of play is this? You just yell at each other. So that'll be fun. They do it right here, so please stop by. The kids love that, and I think that's all. Any questions at all? No? Let's go budget. Okay. Budget, we've got 2 months of budgets here, so I'll go over it real quick. I'm looking at this sheet right here, if everybody sees it in your thing. Going right down, we got some big expenses here. Get some of my stuff in. Okay, yeah. Okay, so these are the budget. Remember, I have to get approval for any, if you want the light on, we can. Who wants the light on?
I would.
Okay, good, okay. Jonathan, thank you, Jonathan. Yeah. All right. Okay, first one is a $20,000 471 expense. That's for our NJROTC department. That's gonna get reimbursed by NJROTC. CBS, they're taking a bus down to Florida. They're gonna stay on a couple of bases, visit with some people, and it's gonna be a big deal for our NJROTC. We have building repairs, E&C electric, building repairs, 11,030. What we're doing right now is we have the teacher's lunchroom upstairs. You would think with 237, well, we have about 160 teachers here, that it's packed all day. It really isn't. There's teachers that are coming and going all day, but we're gonna kind of divide it up. There'll still be room for the teachers to have their lunch up there, but it'll be smaller, and we're gonna make some offices up there, and they're gonna be like mobile offices, so we can do some, like a conference room if we need to have a BHT conference, or we can have other offices up there. They're generally not gonna be somebody's office. It's gonna be offices for people to use, okay? Like as an example, if teachers wanted to make some phone calls home to the parents and stuff, they can pop in one of those offices and make some phone calls home. So that's $11,030. Then we have our Compass Transportation, $29,859 one. Again, they're always averaging about 20,000 a month. And then for January, 24,316. Those are our buses. And then we college entrance exam, PSAT, 27,963. Okay, that was for the fall test that we have to pay. Any questions on the approvals at all?
Are you building walls and the teachers on, where are they gonna be?
Yeah, they're gonna be right when you walk in, Scott, when you walk in, you got that hole behind the counters there. It's gonna be back there.
The offices?
Yeah, back there. So,
So where the computers are now?
no, that's all different.
All different.
Yeah. I think,
Okay.
well, this is phase one. I think phase two is to go back there and put some offices in there too.
Okay.
Yeah. I am gonna call, anything else?
I'm just thinking about where people would be.
Yeah. Well, I really think, because that was my first question to Pat. I'm like, where are they gonna eat? We got a lot of teachers. It's like, Mark, a lot of them don't either. It's usually just SICAs or substitute teachers. I think a lot of teachers are eating in their offices.
That's true, as long as we have those.
Yeah. Yeah. I am gonna talk to Mr. Jacobs, hopefully this week. Jim Jacobs wrote Grease. And we had the Jim Jacobs Theater all planned. If anybody was here that was talking, it was gonna be a theater in the library student commons. It was gonna be like a 45-seat tiered theater. Jim Jacobs was on board, but then the COVID hit, and he basically said, Mark, I make money from Grease, and there's nobody showing Grease right now. And so now that he's got a couple of years, I'm gonna call him and I say, hey, Jim, I just saw this Rise of the Pink Ladies. What's that all about? And I'm thinking you're gonna get a royalty check. So I think Jim wants to give to us. He already gave to Columbia College, like a $1.5 million Jim Jacobs Theater over there. So I think he wants to help us. He was just waiting for some cash flow to come. So I'm gonna ask him to help us out. Hopefully he does. Okay,
So the offices will be currently where the tables are?
Yes.
Okay, and then the teachers who want to eat there, like SICAs and people who don't really have a department or subs.
They'll have space there too.
Oh, in the back area?
Yeah,
back there?
yeah. I'll get the exact plans to you from Pat tomorrow. I should have probably had them
So
tonight.
this is just to put up walls and just some electric?
In offices, yeah,
Okay,
indoors.
yeah, I'd like to see that, thank you.
Okay, sure. Okay, and then the budget transfers are really just to pay for those things. So I got $40,000. That $40,000 is not listed above, but what that is CPS gives us money to offset some of our DL teachers. So what we do with the DL teachers, so you divide that $40,000 by about 54 teachers, and they all get about $800. It's extra time. They can stay after school and they can plan and stuff like that, but they all get extra money. That's from CPS. So we're kind of allocating that. 31,650, that we need that budgeted. It's all pulled into one thing for our athletics. We have a lot of athletic bills. The 11,030 is the one to pay the building repairs. Then we have that big one, $54,000 for the Compass transportation. And then we've got the student transportation, 27,000. No, I'm sorry, 27,000 for the PSAT. Anybody have any questions on all those numbers, Scott?
Oh, when we vote on this, can we take the ENC electric and vote on it separately?
I'm not objecting
I
to
And then
that.
the rest.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, that's okay. with
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
No problem. How do you want to do it, Paul?
I'll motion to it if you want. I'm gonna move that we vote on all of these budget transfers with the exception of the E&C electric budget repairs. That'll be a vote separate.
I second.
All right. The motion is to approve the budget transfers excluding E&C Electric. Mrs. Barron is a yes. Ms. Baloo?
Yes.
Ms. Betcher? Ms. Corone?
Yes.
Ms. Cobb?
Yes.
Mr. Conley?
Yes.
Ms. Villa?
Yes.
Mr. Gorder?
Yes.
Mr. Grishaber?
Yes.
Ms. Minor? Oh, I guess Ms. Minor, students don't vote on, but.
No.
Mr. Fleckner?
Yes.
And motion carried.
All right, and I'll move to place a vote on the separate item, the E&C electric building repairs.
I second.
All right, motion is to approve the $11,030 for E&C Electric. Mrs. Barron is a yes. Ms. Baloo?
Yes.
Ms. Betcher?
Yes.
Ms. Corone?
Yes.
Ms. Cobb?
Yes.
Mr. Conley?
Yes.
Ms. Davila?
Yes.
Mr. Gorder?
Yes.
Mr. Grishaber?
Yes.
Mr. Fleckner?
No.
I'm sorry, Ms. Candelaria Diaz?
Yes.
Yes, and I'm sorry, I did not capture you on the last one, I apologize. You're yes on that as well. All right, the motion carries.
Scott, I'll meet with you and Pat this week or next week, and we'll go over the plans and
You
hopefully.
understand, I just couldn't vote on it until I saw.
I got it, yeah. But we'll go over it and hopefully we can quell any worries that you might have.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right.
Can I change my vote, so I know,
On that last one?
Which one?
seeing the plans, waiting to vote until the plans are seen? I think that makes sense.
Yes, I can note that you've changed your vote, the motion still carries.
Okay.
All right, moving on, unless there's any further discussion or vote changes. All right. The CIWP,
There is no CIWP. In fact, CPS has moved the CIWP planning until the fall. So we don't have to worry about it. They keep pushing it ahead. So we don't have to worry about that till next school year.
I will remove it from the agenda.
Okay.
All right. The chair report, all I've got in there is the principal evaluation process. I put an item in the agenda so that we can meet in closed session today. Hopefully we can get some work done quickly. I know it's already kind of a late evening, but this is something that if we get started today, we can finish at the next meeting. I don't think we'll have to, depending on how things go, we won't have to schedule any extra meetings.
Am I dismissed for that?
You are.
Stay. Okay.
All right, committee chair reports, budget committee.
Nothing to report.
All right, the PPLC.
Yeah, I have a brief report. We met yesterday, the PPLC met, we just continued discussions from our last meeting on how we can assist in managing student behavior. That was the subject of our last meeting, most of the meeting was this one as well, especially in public spaces and hallways around the school. This is the first meeting Dr. Bellata attended, and she explained a lot to us. We had questions about school skill replacement sessions with targeted students. So they looked at data on who was targeting often, and they brought them in and talked to them. And it sounded like it was very impactful with the students. She also explained how other forms of MTSS is being implemented with students who need that support. So this was all good to hear, and she was very open to our suggestions. She's been going on a tour of the school, basically asking different stakeholders what they think about different things and kind of gathering data right now. And so quickly we're on that. She did thank us for our support in volunteering our time and energy into the T-Bird call monitoring program, and promised to keep giving us feedback on that. I think that's what keeps it going, is when teachers see that it's making a difference. So we communicated that with her. The PPLC learned that there was some sort of a school climate discipline plan being developed by PPC, and administration agreed to share that with us to get our input too. There was a discussion about what the emergency subbing system, this was after you left, Mr. Grishaber,
Okay.
at the freshman academy, but we didn't have any particular conclusions or solutions. We have a real problem finding subs at our freshman academy particularly. There's a lot of reasons for that, so we were kind of getting ideas on how do we handle this problem. Is there a way to handle it? We discussed how we can use data gathered from the 5 Essential Survey, and we are fully recommending to all staff and teachers that they do this on the double, because that's a survey that we use to discuss potential PD opportunities, and that the LSC can use as well as public data. We also discussed a PD opportunity being provided by the neighbor settlement, and Mr. Gershaver and I spoke about this before this meeting, and we're kind of setting that up. So thank you for your support on that. And we also thank the LSC for your continued support. We're always here, us teachers, to assist you. And we love your children and want to be there for you. We're your servant. So, if you have any questions on this?
I have a question. Why is there an issue with subbing at the freshman camp?
We can't quite figure it out, but one thing is they don't like the parking there. They literally, for a simple reason like that, won't go there because of parking. That's, I think, one of the main reasons I can't. So we were really like trying to figure it out, what the issues are with that particular campus. It's not like the teachers that are more absent.
Why, where's the parking at the freshman camp?
It's all the way in behind
It's
the
all the way by the
school.
park. So by the.
So you go through the industrial,
Yeah,
that parking lot right there, that's the
and you gotta
parking,
cross through the fence.
and they don't like that?
There's only 50, 60 spots, not a lot of spots there.
No, there aren't.
Yeah, and they can park on Normandy too.
Yeah, yeah, it's a rough go.
That's crazy.
So yeah, we're trying to figure out solutions to that. Because, yeah, what happens is when there's no subs, they'll ask teachers to take the time to call the emergency subbing system. We started it during COVID because we didn't have anybody who was showing up and a lot of people are getting sick. So teachers will take time out of their day during a prep or something to go in and substitute a class. Of course, that takes time away from some of the work we need to do. And so that's been an issue, more so at that campus. At varsity campus, it's not as much of an issue. So those teachers were.
And then they
sharing
get
with us.
compensated for that?
No,
They don't get
There's no
compensated? There's no extra
No,
overtime?
that's not
nothing?
true.
well, they get Mr. Gershaver allows them to miss a prep meeting, professional development meeting, or a house meeting, or a PCT meeting.
What it says in the contract is if a teacher loses a prep period, so they'll sub during their prep period. What the recourse of that is that every week I have 3 principal directed periods. I have to give one back by the end of the semester. But what we do is we usually do it by the next week, or in a couple of weeks, they get that one back. So they don't lose any time.
Sort of upsets and, yeah.
It also, it's,
If you were talking about financial compensation, there's not.
Crazy.
All right. Any other questions about the PPLC? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. The Facilities Committee.
I'll just go over it real quick. I know we didn't meet. I talked with Nick a little bit, or if you want to go over, but real quick, Pat wanted me to mention the gym lights are done in the second floor small gym. And it's a big difference. It's like night and day. And they're going to get done in the second floor bigger gym up there too, very soon. Our intercom system is just about finished. Now the next step is they're going to go into the rooms that do not have intercoms and then wire them up. The really nice thing about the intercom system is I have the ability to press a button and it doesn't go to certain rooms where we're testing it. Because one of the big things that, especially during April and May, is I want to like brag on people. Mark, you never say anything about that. I'm like, I can't because there's testing going on. So we have now the ability to press it where everybody else can hear it except any of the kids that are testing in these rooms. So that's a big thing. So it's loud and it's good. So it's about time. So all paid by CPS. Anything else, Mr. Gorder?
The passing period bells are way calmer, and I like that.
Yeah, if you don't know, our passing period bells are from the movie Grease. That ding, 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 ding. So it's kind of a throwback.
All right. Any questions on facilities? The BAC?
No.
No. Safety and Security Committee?
Hi, so we all met Dr. Bellotta tonight. She's great. I saw her, or I listened in on her yesterday at the PPLC with her presentation, and then I met her today. She gave a presentation, so I don't have an agenda to share with you guys, but she went over a lot of great stuff. And then, of course, at the end of it, I said, we should have recorded this to share with the LSC. I'm like, because you don't want to say all that again, and I don't, like, a lot of the good information isn't just, like, she shared the presentation itself with Paul, and he's gonna share it out, with the LSC, but I'll try to get to, she just has a lot of really good data. She's like, Mr. Plenzer said she's gone around and she's speaking to a bunch of different groups and their perspectives and things, and she is gathering a lot of really good information, but some of the statistics, sorry, I wrote so much, so I don't want to repeat all of this stuff, but so last semester, Mr. Goliath started the T-Birds, which I didn't quite understand, but it's a volunteer group of staff, teachers who are scanning for tardies. And then what's happened is that I think kind of will go down to less people doing it as these things improve. But what's happened is they had identified out of 2,900 students essentially here, 250 who were having real problems with getting to class on time, and then 47 who were chronic. So they had already put in place, some of these tier 1, we have with our store, we have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 initiatives. And so they'd already put into place some things by the time Dr. Bellotta got here, but she really seems to have ramped things up since she's gotten here. And a good percentage of those students who went through tier 1, which was, I don't know if it was at lunchtime, sitting down and writing, not just reflections, but doing research and giving back feedback about why are you tardy? Is there something consistent? Do you know why you're tardy and all this stuff? And so a good portion, I wish I could just pinpoint it and see. We had this meeting today and then I was at work, so this organized role, but a good portion are now not, they moved out of that system, they're done. Then there's other students who have come in under tier 1, and then there's the students who moved to tier 2. So she just had so much great data about what she's doing, which made me feel very confident in her as our new climate and culture director. They also have students who in school suspension who have they have over a 5-week period during lunch, they're doing these other kind of reflections and deep dives and data driven things. And she said she found there were about, and doing this, they found I think 50 students who said that they didn't feel connected to anybody. They didn't feel there was an adult that there was safe or that they could go to here. So she's developed this 2x10 plan where they're reaching out to all the teachers for each student and trying to find at least one teacher who will talk to those students for 10 days, for 2 minutes, not about the class that they're in, just to make a connection, to start seeing to that, and then look at the data and see, and then evaluate, is this helping? They also are looking at, with the help of Student Voice Committee, students looking at things like getting the kids connected into some clubs or sports or other activities. And this is really kind of going back and reworking all of the culture and climate that has disappeared during COVID, which is essentially feeling connected to your school and feeling pride in your school. And so now there's some real efforts, with real information and data of her working on those things, as well as talking to new teachers and seeing what the PD they're looking for and the connections they're looking for. So it's a very, it's because culture and climate isn't just the students, it's also the teachers, and the teachers feeling committed and valued. And so she's seems to be really doing a lot of good analysis and a lot of good work. So I'm very excited about her being here and the stuff she's doing. And I just want to make sure that there was there's so much she's doing, but that's some very specific data that I remembered to pull out of this, out of that meeting. I don't know if anybody has any questions. She's very busy, but she will answer your emails if you have any specific questions. And I really want to get more of this information out to parents because I want them to understand that stuff is happening, work's being done, and it's looking really positive. We're getting already results within 2 weeks. A lot of stuff turning around. So I know you guys have had working on the Student Voice Committee.
I was actually going to talk about that.
Oh, when you give your report?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I won't So that's great. Very excited. Happy to see data. Happy to see follow up and follow through. And she's obviously very excited to be here in this position.
Do you know, I mean, you mentioned getting it out to the parents and I'm curious with that as well. Do you know if that presentation that she sent me, is that on the Taft website? Is that something that could be posted or is there any?
You know, I don't think it is, but I don't see why it couldn't be. There's nothing on there that, has anything with anybody's privacy or like, you know what I mean? There's nothing revealing on there. Like, a lot of the stories she shared are not on that presentation, which of course she's not.
I'll check it out,
mentioning
Bob.
students
See if we can get it on
and
there.
things,
Yeah,
but
that's a good idea.
yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, I said to her, I'm like, ways that we can share this out, not only with the LSC, so as parent reps, we can talk to them about it, but just getting it out there so parents know that there is like structure, there's a plan, it's being followed through. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Just real quick, and Dr. Blatter knows, and then I think you all know that the Department of Homeland Security says the number one way you protect your schools is not through metal detectors, not through punitive damages, not through whatever. It's that kids feel connected to somebody in the building that they can talk to. And I'm very proud of that. Like over the last 8 years, like I know when somebody, our student puts a joke online about bringing a gun to school, because I will have 56 texts within about 3 minutes, which means they're telling teachers who are now texting me, and then we start that whole process going on. So I really feel it's really important that every student here feels connected to at least one person. Yeah.
All right, thank you. And the Student Voice Committee.
Go.
So the first thing I was gonna talk about, which is this, what you had to say, is that we did meet with Alana, and we talked to her about a lot of, so you talked about like student support and making sure students feel like connected to the school and feel like the school is really a community. I feel like she really, with what she's been saying, like, she's really been working with what she's been doing. We also met with Mr. Kessler to talk about having a community like get together thing, like a community event with a police versus like Taft basketball game to try and get like the community to get to know the police, because in the 16th district, because that's like within Taft boundaries, and we're the only high school that's within that district. And then we're not really sure how we're gonna do this yet, but we're trying to find out some way how if we can get like freshmen to the varsity campus at some point before their sophomore year, so they can kind of get to know the school a little bit more. We're not really sure the logistics of that yet, we're just trying to figure something out so they can feel more connected when they come when they're sophomores. So that's pretty much it. Any questions?
I like the idea of connection for freshman to sophomore, because it seems like that. It was
We are
hard.
going to run the sophomore connection again, like we used to run freshman connection, but we're also going to have sophomore. But we're trying to figure out like, how do we get them here like a day when they're still in school? Because they're not going to show up if they don't have school. They're like, well, I don't know if we want to do that. But if we can swap one day, so we're putting our heads together, so it's going to be good, yeah. Like that. And I did, when I went to the CAPS meeting, which is the police community meeting, they said that they are going to come and they're talking to Kessler and they are going to play us. So, yeah.
Police did come up first with that idea, because they really want to have like a connected community and get to know like students and parents and stuff like that.
And I'll just let you know, it's a close game until the third quarter, but then those 30 and 40-year-old men are on their knees and my kids are still running around like deer and it's over.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Diaz.
Thank you. All right, Friends of Taft? Anything?
Oh, we got.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I take that back. Let's get back.
On the SBC, we do have an Instagram page now, Taft_SBC. Be sure to follow us. We don't have any posts yet, but when we get more followers, we'll post something. We also made some SBC buttons, like those little buttons, like people are like, oh, book for me or something like that. But it has like SBC and like an eagle on there. There's different designs, but we plan to give them out to anyone who comes to like speak with us, or like a guest that's coming, or anybody who like shares something that they have a concern about. We'll give them a button after they're done talking. We're also trying to get more students to join SBC, not just the students who are in like IB or AP classes, but also the students who are always like in the dean's office, or always like skimming all the time. So like trying to get their voice heard too, because obviously like something's going on with them, we'd like to know their concerns about the school. I already mentioned the VSU event that went pretty well today, and prom committee, prom is coming up, and the form for the theme is out, so we're hoping to get one theme solidified on Thursday, so we can start to buy different items to like decorate prom. So I think it's gonna be pretty good, and that's pretty much all I have. Any questions?
Where's prom at?
It should be at the Hilton again, Rosemont Hilton,
Okay.
or Hyatt, one of the two. A question though, I'm not a social guy, Instagram. So there's gonna be, who's gonna monitor the Instagram?
We have a few students that are trying to run it, but also with like teacher,
Yeah, they're
like teacher oversight.
Right.
Like, but students are getting the ideas.
One of the reasons I got rid of my Facebook page is because, like, I would like my nephew, but then my nephew would have all this content that I don't agree with, and it would all of a sudden appear on my page. Is that how Instagram works? Like, if somebody are we gonna see other people's content on our page or no?
No, you only see who you follow, so we'll only like follow Taft, like certified accounts.
Okay, yeah, just be real, we don't wanna,
A quick question.
Yeah.
You mentioned buttons and all that, that's so great. How are you paying for that? How
Oh,
think you should pay for that?
Tuggle has his own button.
Okay,
here, so we
okay, I wasn't,
can-
okay, I didn't want you to put any money out of your pocket or anything.
No, they
Oh, no, we just print from the school too.
Okay,
I got a question. How about buttons for LSC members? We can help support you.
you're doing a great job.
Did you have anything?
All right.
Ms. Minor, you're doing a good job.
They designed the buttons too. I always want to give more. They made pictures. They did awesome. They're really cool. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. Nothing more. I don't want to go too early this time again. All right.
I'll just throw something on because I'm gonna have my dilly club. I have a Friday night dilly club. We go in my office and we eat dilly bars and just talk about life. And our mission is to anonymously cheer up people around the school. So we put anonymous notes in teachers' mailboxes and stuff. So, but we're gonna have a dilly day in March. And so they're gonna talk to you and we're gonna get 3,000 dilly bars. And so kids can get them during lunch period. So I'm gonna have them talk to you and you guys help us, okay? Good.
All right, and nothing from Friends of Taft. Okay, in old business, this is the equity and access. It's about the pool. I've been making some progress. You've also gotten some.
I did talk to the president over at Wright College. They're working on his. As soon as they're done with him, and we're gonna talk about possibly getting some access to his too.
Okay,
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
David Potash is the president. Yeah.
All right, and new business. Ms. Barron asked for this to be put on.
So I think everyone on the LSC received an email from the Office of Local School Council Relations that with the lifting of the COVID disaster declaration, remote participation by LSC members is going back to pre-COVID rules where if one of us needs to join remotely, you need to actually ask for advance permission from the chair, and there is a very tight list of reasons to join remotely. There's also, there was some guidance around public participation, but I think that we currently already have a requirement that public participation is in person. I just want to make sure that we're revisiting that so that we're ready when those go into effect in May. That's pretty much it.
Thank you, and that's important for us to all be aware of, is that the rules are going to be changing. So if we run into any struggles with that, we can address it, but just please keep it in mind. We're going to be fully in person come May. All right. And okay, is there any public participation? All right.
I'll sign whenever I need to sign.
No, it's fine.
Okay, I also want to go home, so I'm gonna make it quick. Adelaide Reynoso, city champion of Poetry Out Loud, which is our third city champion in the last 5 years. She's gonna be going downstate next month. Mr. Wilson is coaching her up. She's great, and she's one of the 3 leads in 9 to 5, so,
Okay.
She's great, and we're looking forward to her. Can't wait to hear her sing. It's gonna be awesome. That's all.
Nice job, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so at this point, we're going to go into closed session for the discussion over the principal evaluation, unless there's anything else you want to add before we do that. Okay. So this discussion is restricted to the LSC. The student members can contribute, they cannot vote. Okay.
You want to take a potty break real quick?
Yeah, that sounds good.
a vending machine? Can I get you grab something to drink somewhere?
I get you some water if you want.
Can I get
Yeah,
some water?
yeah.
So we're gonna make a motion
Oh, sorry.
to,
Sure.
move to closed session in 5 minutes.
Yeah, okay, we can, yeah, okay.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we take a 5-minute recess and then when we return, it will be closed session.
I will second that.
Who wants water? Raise your hand. 1,
I'll take one.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll just bring 6 or 7 in here.
Thank you very much.
Guys, no?
Pardon?
All right.
This one too.
Yeah,
Um,
they're all.
I know this is annoying, but because we are streaming this meeting, I gotta do a roll call. Darren is yes, Ms. Baloo. Ms. Becker.
Yes.
Ms. Carone.
Yes.
Ms. Howe.
Yes.
Mr. Conley.
Yes.
Mr. Villa. Mr. Gorder.
Yes.
Mr. Griffith.
Yes.
Ms. Minor. Mr. Klessner. Ms. Kyle. Ms. Candelaria Diaz has left. Mr. Trent. All right. The motion carries. See you all in 5 minutes. Oh, not you, Mr. Griffith.
Yeah, I'll be back with the water.
Have a good evening.